Hello and welcome to another video on the Garage of Luke channel. And after the last video's drifting related festivities, we're going back a little bit more in the direction of something we know. I have bought the world's worst car for £50. And here it is, it's this Vauxhall Tigra, and you're probably immediately thinking, but Luke, you love rubbish cars, we've seen your collection, we've seen what you enjoy driving. However, sometimes in life, there is a car that is so genuinely appalling that even I, in my love of things that are a bit rubbish, just sit there, look at it and go, this is not rubbish and funny, this is not rubbish and interesting, it's just rubbish. And for years, I've genuinely believed that this car is the biggest insult to the motoring industry that has ever been made. In fact, this specific one you might actually notice or recognise in some way because it has kind of been passed around a bit from YouTuber to YouTuber to YouTuber. It started off with Auto Alex, it then went to Hamilton James Cars, and it then went to Space Saver Cars. And when they bought it, I made a deal with them that if it made it back from the road trip that they did on their video, I would buy it for what they paid for it, which was a crisp £50. Sadly, it did make it back, and as a result, I had to keep my end of the bargain up and buy the car. And to be honest, even though it is one of the cheapest cars I've ever bought in my life, I was still actually quite upset that I ended up in the possession of it. So as a result, you're now going to have to deal with me explaining why I believe this is the worst car in the world. I'm going to start by running you through a few things on the outside of the car before we get further into it. One of the things that a two-seater convertible should do is be fun to drive. This is not fun to drive. That badge there means that this car is about as uninspiring, unappealing and uninteresting as they come. That company was making some somewhat interesting cars back in the 90s and early 2000s, and then they went through a change in the way they did things, and as a result, cars like this arrived. Basically, what this is a Vauxhall Corsa that they went, Corsa, 4 seats, practical, cheap to run. How can we make this absolutely terrible? And in the 2000s, manufacturers were going down this whole route, like with Peugeot and the 206cc, like with Citroën and the Pluriel, of thinking, how can we take a decent, economical starter hatchback and just make it into the most terrible thing in the world? And the way they did it was by going, the roof must come off. We must appeal to people who want a nice little fun summer run around to buzz the roof down, and yet somehow these things sold like hotcakes, despite the fact that, number one, it is terrible to drive. Number two, the engine is uninspiring and dull and horrible. Number three, they're not particularly reliable, as you'll probably find out later when I take you through a few more of the in-depth unreliabilities of this car. Number four, it is terrible to look at. It is probably the ugliest car ever made. The proportions are all wrong. The windscreen goes too far back. The seating position's terrible. The boot is like, why is it this high? The MX-5's down here. Why is this up here? It's like it was designed on a slant, and whoever was designing it kind of had the piece of paper just slightly on the and then put it the right way and went, oh God, what have I done? And then just made it anyway. The only thing I can say is that I don't hate the design of the alloy wheels, and it has got alloy wheels. It's even actually got aircon, which somehow works. But a lot of the things don't work, as you can probably tell by the fact that this door is shut and I can put my finger inside the window. But I was having a conversation with Jamie and Addison behind the camera about this, and they said, you can't just spend an entire video walking around a car saying, this is rubbish, I hate this, I hate that. But their argument is, if I take this car somewhere, maybe to the beach, the kind of thing you would do on a nice spring or summer day with a small convertible in the UK, maybe I will end up understanding a little bit more why they made it, and maybe I'll even end up not hating the car. You now get to join me as I take a journey, having only really driven this car 2 miles at a time so far, into why people bought these cars, and will I end up liking it somewhat when I take it and use it for its designed purpose? I don't think I will, and one thing I want to do is, because I really don't want to be seen in this car, but I also don't want to be seen in a dirty car. I refuse to do dirty cars, and this is currently full of mouldy coffee cups that have just been thrown everywhere. So what I am actually going to do, despite the fact I hate it, is I'm actually going to wash the car. I think we'll do that first. We'll buzz a quick wash over it so that at least I'm not driving around in a rubbish and dirty car, and then we're going to take it to a quintessentially British seaside destination about 2 hours that way, vaguely, onto the washing bit. Thankfully, today I've actually got some help in the matter, thanks to my channel sponsor, VP UK, who very kindly have agreed to sponsor the Garage of Luke channel, because apparently somehow I've ended up washing some cars. Their products are absolutely brilliant, and not only that, thanks to them, you can use code GL10 for 10% off of your order using the link that's in the description below. Thank you very much, VP UK. Now let's get this washed. Now comes the part where I need to conquer the inside. I thought that the E36 that I cleaned a few weeks ago was bad. This is arguably worse. There's mold up the back of the seat, there's crud in all of the footwells, and as such I am once again gloved up because it's a bit of a biohazard in here and it smells like one too. For what's planned for this car, which I haven't really delved into much yet, you'll have to wait till the end of the video to see, I would quite like it to be clean. Stay tuned for that because it's actually quite interesting. Right, let's get the Hoover and the bin bags out. So I've hoovered the inside of the car out. It's about as far as I'm willing to go with that. The floor mats, they're universal ones, they're minging, they don't fit properly, they get stuck under the clutch pedal, so they're not going in. So now I'm just going to empty the boot because I know there's yet more coffee cups in here. However, I'll let you into a little feature of this. Usually just open the boot, press button, just whoop, open the boot. No. The parade begins. I'm getting older, growing facial hair, becoming very old, and have passed away. But at least the boot's now open, so I can empty all of the, honey cinnamon cashews, nice. Yeah, there's more. All the hoovering's done, I've hoovered the boot out, I've taken all of the bleh out of it. Now, before we go, there's a couple of things to do, and one of those things is to work out how the roof goes down, because it is, in fact, broken. So I've got this, which I've been told by Jamie, if you come over here, Jamie, why do I need this?
You have to push the latch in on the far side.
Right.
To try and force it to open, but then you've got to try and dodge the blowback when this thing tries to attack your head afterwards. So if you just jam that under,
yeah,
push it back, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, okay, I see. Right, hold it up for me. Yep.
Oh!
That cannot be.
Then you unlatch it from the inside.
Right, yeah, unlatching from the inside.
Force if we push it.
What, up?
Yeah,
like that?
Yeah, and then just give it.
No, that cannot. Like that?
Yeah, see?
Is that where it sits? Yeah. Well, that's down as far as it can go. Yeah. So now what do we do with this?
No, you just literally just pop it back where you found it. You have to fight the gas strut a bit with this.
Right. Oh, oh, there's been damage.
You need some big boy upper body strength for this.
What?
I need a...
Oh my, oh, like that?
Yeah, like one of them.
Yeah, right, I'm in.
I'm miles away. Oh. Right, I'm in. I'm not in, I'm in.
Oh, I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
Are you clipped? Is the catch over it?
if you give it a shot.
Yeah, it's in.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, is that in? It looks vaguely shut. Is it going to fly up while driving?
No, you can't get up to high enough speed in this car for it to come off.
Perfect. In that case, it's shut. Right, tyre shine and go. So that is one Vauxhall Tigra, cleaned, interior now demoulded and de-horrored, so I won't mind actually sitting in it, even though I will be in the Vauxhall Tigra, so I will still be very upset. And we did draft my father in the end. The roof is now actually securely down, which is a large and very manual operation. So that's now down for the day, regardless of what the weather does. But I think it's time for me to commit to the bit, as it were, and drive to my beach destination via a petrol station, because it does need some fuel. Let's go. I'm out on the road in my horrible £50 Vauxhall Tigra. And what can I really say about it now that I'm actually driving it? I can tell you many things, such as the fact that the engine is devoid of character. Admittedly, it does move okay. I think it's a 1.8. I haven't even really checked, to be honest. The steering and suspension have so little feel. It's like having intercourse via fax machine. The aircon does work though. That's one plus point. The tracking's slightly off. I did have to put an engine mount in this. Massive thanks to Febby Bilstein and Blueprint for that, actually. They very kindly sent me an engine mount because the front one had actually snapped. So yeah, good point there for Vauxhall. There's not really anything else good I can say about it. I mean, changing gears, like stirring really lumpy prison porridge. Not that I know what that feels like. I've not been to prison, but I can imagine. This little wind deflector thingy does mean that I haven't got a fantastically large amount of wind noise, so at least there's that. But we're going to keep tracking on towards my beautiful seaside destination, and maybe I'll try and find some things that I like about this car, because I probably should find something decent about it, I guess. We're about halfway there now. I was hoping that I'd find some things that I like about the Tigra, because otherwise it does just seem like I'm being a negative Nelly for no reason. But genuinely, I don't think I can find anything. Things I've noticed, now I've actually spent a longer time driving it, and I think I'd only ever driven it at night as well, so you don't really notice these things quite as much. These A-pillars are massive, and they constitute an absolutely humongous blind spot, which is really inconvenient. Not only that, I've put the heater on because I will admit the sun's sort of gone away. I'm really hoping it doesn't rain, because that will make my day miserable. And the coolant temperature's dropped, so needs a thermostat as well. I don't really want to focus too many on the things that are wrong with the car, because you can buy any car and have some issues relating to its age, but that's just another inconvenience. It's just horrid. I hate it. It revs too high on the motorway. It's got no power in gear. Everything feels unbelievably low quality. I just really don't think there's any excuse. Like the dashboard, everything's rattling, and it's just aged terribly. Contrast to the Peugeot that we did the video on a few weeks ago, where I was like, oh, it's done 180,000 miles and it feels like it's done half that. This has done 92,000 miles and feels like it's done arguably at least double that. It really is terrible. To be honest, I just want to get to my destination now and get out of it. That's all I want to do. I don't know why anyone would want to drive one of these cars, and it's really just reaffirmed my belief that this really, to me at least, or until I find something else that is worse, is just the worst car ever made. It's just an impractical, dull pit of misery, and I'm not here for it. I'm really not.
Despite the Tigra's many shortcomings, we were making good progress, and it wasn't long before we started getting close to our final destination.
I am currently very excited, as despite the fact that the sun has kind of disappeared, hence my lack of sunglasses because I can actually see, we are very close to arriving at our destination, which means I can finally, albeit temporarily, I have got to drive the car home, get out of this car. I've been advised to come here because I've been told that if I'm looking for a British seaside resort, this is indeed the one, because we are rolling into somewhere that I am very excited to have a look around. Jaywick Sands. Never been here before. I'm very excited for this one. The barbershop shut, Angelwood shut, Wee Biny Scooter and Power Car shut, toilets shut. I mean, it's May. I thought everything started to open around the British seaside in May. This doesn't look quite like the seaside town that I was thinking. I mean, it's quite pleasant. Where's the arcades? Where's the fish and chip shop? Oh my goodness, there's a mattress. Where are we? I don't think I'm going to find any 2p machines here by the looks of it. I can't even see the sea, there's a wall in the way.
I then found somewhere to park, although we didn't stay for very long.
Well, this isn't a quintessentially British seaside town at all. Jamie, we can't stop here because people will think that Britain's, well, unique. I was really excited as well because I now get to be out of the Tigra and I don't want to be in it anymore because I really hate it. But I think we might have to go somewhere else to find some fish and chips, which is kind of the reason I wanted to come to the coast. I think we'll have to just pop and find somewhere else, maybe.
Having experienced the interesting natural ambience of Jaywick Sands, we left rather quickly in search of somewhere slightly more appropriate.
So, there you have it. We have after initially going to what I would describe as maybe not the best seaside location to show off the beauty of the United Kingdom, arrived at Clacton, which isn't much better, but at least it looks like there might be a fish and chip shop up there so we can go and have some dinner. And the question is, after my drive here, do I now dislike the Tigra less than I did when we set off? Believe it or not, the answer to that question is actually no. I dislike it more because after driving it in the daytime for quite a distance, I've realised so many features of this car that I just absolutely hate. These A-pillars are rubbish. You can't see anything. The chassis dynamics are terrible. The suspension's terrible. The engine's terrible. The steering's terrible. It's okay on fuel and the aircon works. The roof doesn't work properly, although I can't really say that the Vauxhall Tigra in general is rubbish because of the roof, but it is an inconvenience. To be honest with you, I'd like to do nothing more than drive it that away, round there, down that lifeguard ramp, and push it into the sea. But for environmental and personal reasons, I can't do that because while putting cars in the sea probably isn't the greatest idea in the world, it did make it here. It wasn't terrible on fuel and it does actually work. So while I hate it, I do kind of have a personal rule that I'll never scrap or put down a good car. And as a result of that, I'm going to be doing something quite interesting. What I'm going to be doing is giving you, the viewers, the chance to win this car for free, for nothing. No raffle, no entry cost. This is going to be given away in a competition that I'm going to be running on my Instagram. Not only that, to sweeten the pot a little bit, my very good friends at VP UK, who I mentioned earlier, are actually giving a detailing bundle as well that will go with the car. So not only do you win a fantastic car that I will put a fresh 12 months MOT on as well because it is about to run out, you also get a nice selection of detailing products to keep your latest addition to the fleet lovely and clean. See the link in the description for my Instagram post where you'll find out how to enter that competition, because this car has made my life miserable over the past few days, and now you've got the chance to have it make your life miserable. I've been Garage of Luke. I feel really sorry for whoever wins this car, but again, it's free. Hopefully we'll be back next time with something that makes me a bit less angry. I'll see you soon.